Hey guys, so today's video is going to be another disappointing products. I'm gonna try to do these monthly. Sometimes it might not happen every month because most of the time things really do work for me, or at least I try to make it work. But who knows, there might not always be something bad or disappointing to talk about. But if there is, I'm gonna try to do these monthly. And the last one I posted was in January, I believe, and we are like halfway through March almost. So it is time to do another one. Like I say in every video, please don't be offended if any of these products are your favorites. These just didn't work for me for one reason or another. They're not bad, they're not my favorite. Okay, so the first products I want to talk about are these guys right here. These are the Urban Decay Razor Sharp Long Wear Liquid Eyeliners. They did send these to me. They sent me their entire range and they have stunning colors. These colors are absolutely beautiful. The whole range is so nice. I was so excited to get these in the mail, but the more I played around with them, the more I didn't like them. And I gave a lot of them a shot, but it seemed like they all had the same formula and the same consistency, so I knew I really wasn't gonna like the rest of them. These are just, in my opinion, they're too watery for me. They're so watery. I'm not sure you can tell with that swatch. It's almost like if they poured water into each of these, and they're a little bit sheer. You can build them up. You can do a few layers and then get like pretty good pigmentation. But honestly, for the price, I don't want to have to do that. There are a ton of liquid liners on the market, colorful ones that are really good, not watery, and are so pigmented that you don't need to do multiple layers. Maybe I got bad ones because mine are very watery. They just, I don't know. I find them difficult to work with, and for that reason, I don't use them and I will not use them, so I don't like them. I don't. The Nude Rose Highlighting Palette by BH Cosmetics is kind of a dud for me. I feel like I talk about chunky, glittery highlights in every disappointing products video, but I'm really picky with my highlights. I like something to be smooth and like pearly and kind of like a sheen. The BH Cosmetics palette is not my favorite. The colors are very beautiful when you look at them, but they are very rough. When you swatch them, they feel rough. They kind of they feel scratchy, a little sandpaper-like. So strange, but they're also pretty glittery. At least this one is, and this one. These two are a little bit more of like a sheen, but the texture is so rough and weird that it doesn't apply nicely on my skin. It's just something that kind of sits on top of my cheek and you could see it. And when you swatch it on your finger, I mean, it looks better swatched than it applies on the skin. It looks worse on the skin, but when you swatch this, it's like little chunks just like break up and crumble off. It's so weird. If you're into a very soft, pearly sheen, you will not like this. So just keep that in mind. Not my favorite. Okay, so my next product isn't a bad product. It disappointed me because I just really can't find use for it. I don't really use it that often. I don't think it's worth the money, but I don't think it's bad, you know? This is the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Textured Eyeshadow Palette. It's not bad. I've used it a few times and I've gotten a really pretty look out of it, but for me, it's just a little bit harder to blend than some of my other eyeshadow palettes. Like my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, it blends beautifully. Those are a little powdery, but I can take that because they just blend so well. These, they're a little bit harder to blend. You can still work with them, but they're just a little bit more rough. And I know a lot of people hate these colors up here because they don't apply really well, but if you use like Fix Plus or a mixing medium or even eye drops, if you mix it in with this, these eyeshadows can be very, very pretty. I don't think these are just meant to be used like with a flat shader brush because they're very metallic and very foiled, and they just have a different formula. So you're probably gonna need to mix that with something. That doesn't bother me. It's just, if I'm gonna be honest, I reach for other palettes with this color scheme versus this one. Like I will always grab my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette over this one. I don't think this one is nearly as good. I mean, yeah, it's completely different, but it has like that warm pinky tone kind of vibe. It's just whatever, you know? Some of you are probably like, I love that palette, and I'm so sorry. It's just my opinion. I just don't think it's that great. I have to speak about this one too. This is another eyeshadow palette. So this is the Too Faced White Chocolate Chip palette. And ever since the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette came out, I have been saying that Too Faced needs to come out with a white chocolate bar palette. It just makes sense, you know? They have their regular chocolate, it just makes sense. But I expected it to be like, you know, like something like this, you know, like this size, like an actual palette, you know? But they released this, and this is really cute. Like the idea of it is really cute. I like that they named it White Chocolate Chip, like, you know, like a little chip. So I get where they were going with it, making it small like this, but I don't like this at all. Like, at all. I don't like that. I don't. First of all, it's a little bit smaller than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like the size of my hand, but no, I mean, Okay, so it kind of is, but I thought it was gonna be a little bit bigger. I love that there's a mirror, and it's a really, really, really nice mirror too. This would be awesome to travel with. I wouldn't have a problem with it, except I think these colors are so lackluster to me. Not in terms of pigmentation, but just as a palette. I can't really do much with these shades. There's a dark black, which is nice, but it is glittery. There's just like no flow to this palette. It's just, they're all very light shades. I like that some are matte and that some are shimmery, but to me, it just doesn't flow together. I also don't like this purple shimmer one. The pigmentation is a little weird and chunky. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Am I crazy or what? Do any of you have this, and do you really love it? Do you take it with yourself to travel? I think the idea was great. The color selection was just not. I don't think it's worth the money, even though it's not crazy expensive. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about a few disappointing lip products before we go into other stuff. The first ones I wanna talk about are the Burberry liquid lipsticks. Now, these are really, really great if you like this type of liquid lipstick. These are extremely moussey, like extremely moussey. They're that whipped liquid lipstick that don't completely set down. They kind of feel a little bit like pillowy, which I don't mind that. Like the Ofra ones are kind of like a hybrid between a mousse and like a really runny liquid lipstick. But for that reason, I feel like they really work for me and they last all day and they don't feel weird or look ugly on my lips. These did not look pretty on my lips. Just the way that they sat on my lips, it kind of emphasized every little dry crack texture I had on my mouth. And I'm someone who suffers from dry lips all the time. I have very dry lips. I don't have like the smoothest, most beautiful lips ever. So maybe that's why these didn't work for me. If you have pretty smooth lips, I think you would really like this. Even when I did exfoliate, I didn't like how it sat on my lips. I don't know what it was about it. And while I love these colors, I just didn't like the formula all that much. I feel like the NYX soft matte lip creams are pretty much the exact same, and these are way more pricey. That's why I'm including them in this video, honestly, because there are a ton of other brands with this kind of formula that don't really bother me, but that's expensive. These were too moussey for me, like too much. Okay, let's talk about something that was like the exact opposite. In my last disappointing products video, I was wearing the Too Faced Melted Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Who's Zoomin' Who? And I've worn this liquid lipstick on like 5 separate occasions. The first 2 times I tried it on, I loved it. It wore all day. I didn't really have issues with it. But then I wore it again for my disappointing products video, and it was crumbling. By the end of the video, I had like blue on the bottom of my chin. And then I wore it 2 more times after that just to make sure, because I had worn it previously and it was fine. But this is not working anymore. Kind of like how my hair isn't working anymore. I don't know if it just got dried up. I don't know what the issue with this is, but it just crumbles all over the place. I think it's too liquidy to where it dries a little bit too matte, so that it just like, which is really weird because I have worn the other colors in the past, like I said, and that didn't happen. I actually really love the Too Faced Melted Matte Lipsticks. There's one that I wear all the time. I think it's called Child Star. I'm not sure, but I love that one. It doesn't crack up on me. Sometimes with liquid lipsticks, like these liquidy ones, it depends on the color. Some of them will be super smooth and won't crack, but some of them, like some colors, just don't work with this formula, and I just don't like this. And it sucks because I loved this color. I thought it was so cool, like a navy blue lip, but it's starting to crack on me and it's starting to crumble, and I don't like that. Okay, and then the last lip products I want to talk about are also liquid lipsticks. I don't know, I tried a lot of liquid lipsticks. Kylie Metal Matte lipsticks. These are the only 2 that I own. I have been sent some liquid lipsticks in the past from Kylie, but I've also purchased a lot of them. Like this one was purchased by me. I believe this one was sent to me. I'm not exactly sure. I like her regular liquid lipsticks. I think they're really good. I know a lot of people hate them, but I actually really like them. But her metal matte lipsticks, no. I don't like them. This one I actually really liked when I first got it. I thought it was beautiful. Oh, I haven't even told you the names. This one is Kymajesty and this one is Heir. I loved it. It looked nice and foiled, but it looked really natural. I don't know, I really liked it. But the more I used it, the more the formula changed. It started to get really weird. It became kind of moussier than it normally is, and the formula just started to kind of break up the more I wore it. When I apply them, they look really streaky. It's kind of like the pigmentation wants to sit on one side of the mouth but not on the other. And then when you try to do another layer, it kind of takes off the metallicness on one side. It's just, I don't like how these apply at all. I love her regular liquid lipsticks, but I do not like her metal matte ones. I have to be honest, the whole metallic liquid lipstick trend, I like it, but it's a really hard formula to get right. And I think that the Milani liquid lipsticks that are metallic like that are beautiful. I don't really have any problems with those, and those are super affordable, but these, I don't really like them. More highlights. I don't like these that much. These are kind, this is, okay, I would consider this like a These are the Makeup Revolution Skin Kiss highlights. I was so excited to get these because I actually like a lot of Makeup Revolution highlights. Like, their baked ones are beautiful. They actually do look like a nice sheen on the skin. It's not chunky or anything. Those I really love. I love the light pink one. It's so pretty. But these, I don't like them. I don't like the formula of these. I have this one in the shade Peach Kiss, and this one is in Ice Kiss. Now, don't get me wrong, the colors are beautiful, and when you swatch them, you're like, wow, that's gonna look incredible. These swatch so nicely, but when you apply them to the skin, I think too much product comes off on the brush, and it kind of looks heavy on my face. I know that's weird to say that a highlighter looks heavy, but for me personally, it looks heavy. It kind of looks a little thick. It's just too intense for my personal liking. These are beautiful as eyeshadows. Like, I'm gonna keep these because I think that these would be really cool as eyeshadows, but on the skin, it's just not my favorite, and they're not glittery. Like, there's no glitter in this. It's actually like a really pretty sheen. It's not as smooth as I want it to be. So every time I try to apply this on my face, I don't like the outcome. It looks a little fake on my face, and I don't like that. So I just... Okay, so my next product is this frigging sponge. This is the new Real Techniques Dual-Ended Expert Sponge, and considering how amazing their Miracle Complexion sponge is, this in comparison is literally garbage. I know that came off a little strong, but this sponge is not good, and I don't understand because Real Techniques, like I said, their Miracle sponge, their orange one that looks just like this, only completely orange, is wonderful. It's comparable to the Beauty Blender. It's so squishy, bouncy. It's fabulous. I love it. This is so stiff and it doesn't even expand. Okay, take a look at this. Do you see it? I'm about to go wet it and I'm going to show you how it expands underwater. This is what it looks like in my hand. You see it's like smaller than the palm of my hand, you know? Okay, I'm going to go wet it. And I'm really going to wet this. I am like running it under my water hardcore. I'm squeezing it. I'm really getting the water up in here. This is the sponge completely soaking wet. It stays the exact same size. And I know what some of you are thinking right now, like, who cares if it doesn't get bigger as long as it works, right? No, that sounded really sexual, but no. Because the thing is that once you wet a Beauty Blender, like it's soft, but once you wet it, the sponge expands and it just becomes so much softer. And just ask anybody, the Beauty Blender is not the same unless you wet it and it gets big and fluffy. Same with the orange Real Techniques sponge. Once you wet it, it just gets fluffy and soft and it just applies foundation so well. This is hard as a rock. Like, who wants to put on foundation with this rock? I don't understand this sponge at all. I'm kind of like really baffled. Even their diamond one is really awesome too, but what is these Real Techniques? What is these? It's no good. I truly don't like this sponge. To me, this is probably the most disappointing product in this video. I just, Okay, and then the last product I want to talk about is this guy right here. This isn't really like a disappointing product. It's just, I think my skin hates this. This is the Physicians Formula Insta Ready Face Primer. I've tried this so many ways. With like 3 different foundations. I even tried not applying my morning moisturizer. I've tried it a bunch of ways, but this just pills up on my skin. You know how certain silicone primers, when you apply them to your face and when you kind of start to blend them out, some of them will react weird with your moisturizer and they'll start to ball up. This does that no matter what. It's extremely thick. Like, can you see that? Look at this. Do you see it? It's so thick. No matter how I blend it, a lot of the times it will just peel up like that. And I mean, I really work it in. Obviously, I just blended it kind of like so right there so you can see it. But I really work this into my skin and it just comes up, and every time I apply my foundation on top, it doesn't apply nicely. I just don't like the formula. Too thick, I don't like it. And I like that there's SPF 18, but I don't like the formula that much, so I don't know. So yeah guys, those were products that recently disappointed me for one reason or another. I know that these videos seem really negative and I'm just here talking crap. Sometimes I like to give you my negative opinion on certain products. Maybe it helps you out in some way. Sometimes it's not always rainbows and butterflies. It's compromise that moves us along. Oh, side note before I go, this is the CoverFX Illuminating Setting Spray. I spoke about this in my last video briefly. I had no idea this spray had shimmer in it. You definitely want to make sure that you shake the crap out of this. Like, I'm talking about like, I didn't know that. It says shake very well before use, and they're not kidding. Because this has shimmer in it, and if you don't shake it up and you spray really close to your face, there will be literal dots of shimmer all over your face. I used it earlier, and I really had to go back with a brush and just tap it in because I had like shimmer particles on my face. Like, look, there's one hanging out right there. You see that dot under my brow bone? That's a shimmer particle. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Fudge balls. You've been scared of love and what it did to you. I feel calm. What? I'm a great singer. Like, I will always grab my Anastasia Modern Renaissance. It's not always rainbows and butterflies.